Well, I guess it's going.
Yep. Ready? Let's go. Discuss. I love freaking Star Wars. Big news today.
Yes. All right. So 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the inaugural episode of Sci-Fi Annotated, the podcast. So I am joined by Connor, who is new to HN. For everyone that has no idea who Connor is, and I'm introducing him like I'm assuming you guys already know who he is. He's the head of marketing here at HN. So any cool things on the marketing front, on the engagement front, thank him. And yeah, but also he's a huge sci-fi fan, especially Star Wars. So it makes him the perfect person to have with me today on this podcast. Now, what we're talking about today, just to list it out for those who are either listening to the full audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, versus segments on YouTube. We're going to talk the Star Wars updates with Mando 2 in the High Republic, then this John Boyega interview that came out, and then we're going to finish off the episode with some Dune talk and this Game of Thrones news. Well, not Game of Thrones news, but the Game of Thrones showrunners are developing a new series, so we're going to talk about that. But yeah, I guess before we get into the first topic, though, Connor, you want to, in your own words, introduce yourself, say some stuff?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Connor. So think of me as the marketing guy, more the big fan of Star Wars, the big beard, everything going on. Real excited. Big news today with the new Star Wars announcement. Mandalorian Season 2, huge. Hope everyone's pumped. You know, that's pretty much my intro right there.
Yeah. When I was talking to Connor, actually, for those who are listening to this, right? When I was talking to Connor about HN stuff, doing things with HN, the sign was right there because I think you had like a Star Wars sticker on your laptop. I think it was your laptop. And people don't just have that, you got to be a fan of Star Wars to have that. But you were asking me about like Mandalorian and Clone Wars and stuff. So I was like, I already know you were a fan since you asked me before I ever asked you. But like get into our last topic here today. Connor, did you watch Game of Thrones?
I have. Now I'm going on my second, I guess third kind of run through everything right now. Really good so far. Obviously already seen it all.
Yeah.
My girlfriend actually has not seen it whatsoever. Just the final season, like the final 2 episodes. So we're kind of going through, and I'm kind of re-explaining how the first few seasons are actually really good.
My girlfriend does not have any interest in Game of Thrones, and
there's some wine in there. It'll work.
I mean, it's funny. My fantasy football league, right? My dynasty league that we just made, which I was gonna talk to you about, see if you want to join. It's Game of Thrones themed, so it's called Game of End Zones, and we have divisions. Like, so basically, we're trying to do like a 12-man league, do 4 divisions of 3 people each, and each like division's named after like a region in Game of Thrones. So one's Westeros, one's Essos, like so on the north, so on, so on. But for this first season, at least, we're not splitting up divisions yet. So we just have like one like mega division, and it's called the Iron Throne.
All right.
And I think what we're going to do is, because it's a dynasty league, so like next season when, this one ends, we'll split everybody up, and like the top 3 teams will be in the Iron Throne division, and then everyone else will be like in Westeros or Essos. I mean, it's super thematic, of course, but I mean, I hope it kind of goes well. Huh?
The first sword of Bravos.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just hope, I hope, anyways, has nothing to do really with the topic. Besides,
That's a good pivot though. I like that. Like, it's like almost the question of what is a parsec, and how is a parsec going into the, I don't know. Let's see if they there.
Well, getting into the news, Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and Dan Weiss are set to adapt the acclaimed trilogy of sci-fi novels, The Three-Body Problem, for Netflix. Now, the actual trilogy itself is called Remembrance of Earth's Past. And what I just read before, the Three-Body Problem, is actually the name of the first book. Now, The duo will team up with writer-producer Alexander Wu of True Blood fame to tackle the expansive and complex saga, which depicts humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. As they, in a statement, put it, this trilogy is the most ambitious sci-fi series we've read, taking readers on a journey from the 1960s until the end of time, from life on a pale blue dot to the distant fringes of the universe. We look forward to spending the next few years of our lives bringing this to life for audiences around the world. The writer-producer Wu adds on to that statement saying it's a privilege to be adapting one of the great masterpieces of Chinese science fiction. The Three Body Problem trilogy combines so many things I love: rich, multi-layered characters and true existential stakes, all told as an elegant and deeply human allegory. Now, some of the other names involved as executive producers is Rian Johnson, as we kind of just pseudo talked about, with the whole Star Wars stuff. Brad Pitt, who has produced some really great stuff. I mean, like 12 Years a Slave, he produced, for example. Like, I don't think anyone would have out the gate probably known that. Actress Rosamund Pike. Let me try this again. Rosamund Pike. Why can I not say that? It's weird. And supposedly the budget's pretty high, as you can imagine. Reports have said it could be as much as $1 billion, but also others have said that's overblown. So who honestly knows? But I have no excitement. No, I'm serious. I mean, like, we got the only reason I'm not excited, right, is because while I think it could be good, what are they going to do when they run out of books?
You know what when you were just reading out that entire premise,
yeah,
I'm thinking immediately back, going back to 8th grade, 7th grade or whatever, and I'm immediately thinking of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I don't know why.
That's a great movie and book.
It just kind of popped,
yeah.
But I got that vibe for some reason from like the way you're reading that premise. I don't know. Could be good. I didn't really like that book. Yeah, but...
Well, let me ask you this. How did you like the last season of Game of Thrones when they no longer had a book that they could easily go off of and actually had to write a definitive ending for the series?
See, the last season of Game of Thrones is the epitome of a mixed bag, all right?
Uh-huh.
Good things, bad things, a lot of bad things. But I did like some things in there.
Yeah.
I did like some of the battles there. Some CGI was pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Like the attack on the what is it? What was the main battle? I'm blanking here. It was this.
You mean at the end of the bells?
No, not the bells. Blanking. It's where she kills the Night King. Yeah, not like when they actually attack the castle, but when they're the initial.
Yeah, it's like something with night, right? Wasn't it like the last? No, not the last night. Why am I going to say that? Like,
I didn't name that battle, but like it's pretty much the one scene is when they're all going along the line. They're all the riders. They all have the lights. They're carrying their torches, right? Going in there, encroaching darkness, and they kind of extinguish. And then you see some people running back towards you. That's probably my favorite scene from that entire final season.
Yeah.
You're just like, wow, that looks pretty sick.
It did.
It kind of gives you the vastness of the the Night King's army.
Mm.
But as we went over, Daenerys, Stormborn going nuts at the very end there, made me a little upset. Didn't really expect that, and then this is the far ending. Spoiler alert, but So and going back to what you're saying with everything, I don't know what's going to happen with it. It could be good, but when you go off of the books like that, sometimes it can go off the rails, and you don't like what happens in the end.
Yeah, hold on. Let me know. Can you see this? What I'm holding right now? Can you see this?
Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey.
This is me pouring one out right now. Pouring one out for the ones we lost in that battle. Because they died for a very mediocre series finale. I'll say that much.
Oh yeah. What happened to my boy Hodor? Come on.
I will say though, they did write. I'll give them credit where it's due. They did write a very good series, a great series, a very, I would say, monumental series, just based on the success of Game of Thrones. I mean, like, I can't act like they didn't contribute to that. Of course, like the good aspects, and they did inspire Game of Zones, which is an amazing, or was, I should say, an amazing. Was it Bleacher Report animated series? It was hilarious. I loved it.
No, I haven't seen it.
And of course, they inspired the fantasy league I'm in, Game of End Zones.
Okay.
So I'll give credit where it's due. But I mean, I just, I gotta say, I'm not. What's the? There's like a saying, right, where it's like you're only as good as, like, the last thing you did, so to speak. Like what is the last thing you left people remembering you by? You know what I mean? Because that's your new first impression, basically. And right now they don't really have a great first impression, because they ended Game of Thrones the way they did, and then they didn't even try like acknowledging the fans' response, which I thought was kind of like crappy of them, to be honest. Like I think they released a really generic statement, which was like, we enjoyed doing this, we hope you guys like it. But like even when the actors, right, like I think 2 of the actors are interviewed and they said they would redo the season finale if they could. Like, I mean, that kind of shows you, I mean, like, come on, like, it was very sloppy. Water bottles on coffee, Starbucks coffee.
Yeah, it's just
in Westeros.
It feels like, I mean, I did like one scene, which from this is the final season, which was the one I mentioned.
Oh,
the
okay.
other person was, Jon Snow meeting that initial meeting with Daenerys. When they come in there into the, what is it? What island is that on? It's like a random island where they first meet. He's like,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That was a cool scene, And then after that, I think it started going downhill.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm being too critical.
Very, very critical. Yeah. I mean, look at this. He has some passion for Thrones. All right. I mean, let's just say it's no season 1, and I wasn't, my mind was not blown like at the end of season 1 with Ned Stark. All right. Let's put it that way. Not the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think I am being overly critical, and maybe I'm subconsciously doing that because I'm trying to be more entertaining. Who knows? But
it's a good show. Like, you just can't.
The one thing I will say that always kind of bothered me with the last season was that it was very, very short, of course, and not Netflix, HBO offered to give them as many episodes as they wanted for like the final season, and David Benioff and Dan Weiss said, like, what was it, 6 episodes or something like that? That was basically, that was it. That's all they wanted. So like, it always kind of bothered me, I guess, how the series from like the midpoint progressed to the end, because it wasn't a situation where the studio mandated, this is your budget, this is the episodes you get, whatever. Like, it was a situation where the showrunners asked for that. They asked for that. And they not only asked for that, but then they dropped the ball in delivering on that. So that's why it always kind of really rubbed me the wrong way, because when the ball's in your court and all you have to do is, let's be honest, you just had to play it safe. In that situation, just like with Star Wars, right? All you really have to do to stick the landing with a series that big is play it safe. And they just dropped the ball instead. They just, they pooped their pants, they just, I don't know how else to put it.
PG, I like that.
Yeah, but yeah, well, I'm not trying to get, demonetized and flagged and, all this stuff, we're back, I mean, I'm not trying to like, hey, we're back,
in 6 months,
F-bomb, and then YouTube, is like, boop, you're gone. But I will say this, actually, objectively, and I hope people are still listening to us, and I didn't totally turn everybody off being super critical, because we've talked more about like, kind of
about Thrones.
Yeah, we've been more so like critical on Game of Thrones and the showrunners than even talking about this series that's being adapted.
Yeah.
I love it. I actually love the premise of this series, objectively. I think it's really cool, like Chinese science fiction. Like, let's shed some light on it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't realize they love stories from the East. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, a lot of people I know, you and I both know people like this, but like, you know, a lot of people love mangas. You know, they love Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Super, Shippuden, One Piece. You know, I just listed really mainstream ones, but you know, a lot of people love reading those. And at the same time, a lot of people don't realize, you know, a lot of Hollywood movies, every once in a while, TV shows are inspired by whether it's like fables or stories or old movies from the East that are just redacted, or not redacted, adapted or revamped to be like these modern takes. So I think, you know, this would be pretty cool if it helps kind of bring more awareness to those stories. Um, because I'm all for that, of course. Um, but at the same time, I'm really interested in like here, I'm gonna read some like general information about the book series, and then like, you know, just let me know what you think. So, influences for the book series actually is described as kind of being a metaphor in some aspects to the China-United States relationship um, in international politics, which is
Current or like red? We talking Red Scare? What kind of era are we talking here?
um, you know, let me see when this book series was written. Because that probably, you know, really. Oh, so the book series was written in like it was written and published in 2008, um, adapted, you know, and published in English, you know, in 2014. So I wouldn't say Red Scare necessarily, but maybe some, I haven't read the book series, so I can't say for certain, you know. But
Current 2008. You know, if we're talking like the earlier in the 50s, 60s, like way back.
yeah. But here, I'm going to read you the background really quick of the first book. So in the 1990s, the Chinese government strengthens propaganda to achieve the scientific and technological I'm going to be able to read one day. I was hooked on phonics once upon a time. I should get hooked again. But the scientific and technological rejuvenation of the country, I need that obviously right now. But leading to favorable conditions for sci-fi creation. Uh, so basically, the story takes place in a non-linear story aspect, which is kind of cool. So flash forwards, flashbacks, present time, you know, all that stuff. So there's a cultural revolution, like I said before, and basically, I guess after that, there are these alien pacifists that come from this planet, warning not to respond, or else, or sorry, a member of that alien species comes and warns them to basically not respond um, to these aliens, I guess, or else they will locate and invade Earth. Um, and I guess this is interesting because the person that the alien interacts with doesn't like, you know, the state of the world anyways, like politics and all that. So it's like, all right, great. And interacts anyways. And it brings that alien species over, um, and causes, I guess, a lot of the events which happen. Now, to describe this alien species, I guess, um, I cannot describe them.
Lizard person.
I feel really dumb right now. I thought that I had a link open that had like an overview of like what the species was, but I was wrong. But anyways, I'm interested in seeing if they keep that thematic thread alive, you know, like about current U.S. Chinese relationships, in terms of like international politics at least, um, or if they're going to use like another thing, like use a metaphor for U.S. Middle East relations or North Korea relations. I mean, I'm curious to see where they go with it, but I think you would think they would keep U.S. China as you know, the inspiration, right? Like you don't.
I mean, it sounds like it would make sense on paper.
Hmm.
It's interesting too, just having the U.S. and China as being compared with this, let's say lizard people, and
Yeah.
then Earth between the two. That's a cool
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, the only thing I really hope is, you know, cast some actual Chinese actors for this. Don't give us I mean, I think this would be a really great situation here to like be faithful to the book. I mean, they're gonna cast, you know, like well-known Hollywood type actors. Like it's gonna happen, you know. But you know, I do think like for some lead roles, they should hire some like Chinese actors, just because I mean, this is
Eastern depiction.
I mean, it's a Chinese science fiction series. You know what I mean? So it's like I mean, you can't like, and I mean, like, and this is me getting on my preachy pedestal for like a minute because I don't want to get too into it because you know it kind of gets annoying after a while. But you know, if this was an African story taken and turned into like a Hollywood production, a Netflix series, there would be a lot of backlash if they didn't cast like at least a black actor. You know what I mean? For that role.
What you're talking about?
Huh?
I said no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, but in the same way though, I think you know you should give the same respect to an Asian story, or at least a story created by a Chinese writer, and as far as I know, taking place in China. So, but that's really it, though. That's as preachy as I'm going to get, because that's not what this podcast is about. I'm trying to bring people joy and entertainment, and escapism in some way, shape, or form, not a reminder of socio-political tensions arising in the world, because it's an election year, which means every other word on the news is dramatized. But
I mean, let's back up for a second, though. We're talking about the way everything was going to be filmed. Do you think you said it's going to be like in the past, the present, and the future, the way they're filming it? Or, you know, is it kind of, we'll go back to that, what you were talking about before.
So what they might do probably is I hope they would do this, right? Because it would be easier, you would think. They would write out like the whole season and then just take little pieces here and there. And like, yeah, so we might get like a flash forward in the first episode that may not actually happen until like the second to last episode, or, you know, something like that.
It's sort of like the lines, and I don't know why I'm kind of drawing lines between these two, but like, remember The Man in the High Castle? That one, you ever see that series?
I didn't.
They were jumping around time a little bit, like, and all that kind of stuff, weird timelines, and, you know, somewhat kind of similar concept to that, you know.
Well, I mean, they have to, right? I mean, it says in the statement that it's taking readers or audiences on a journey from the 1960s until the end of time, from life on our pale blue dot, as you say, to the distant fringes of the universe. So, yeah, I guess we're going to be doing a lot of jumping. Then that's a lot.
It's like you're of the galaxy. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh wait, actually, isn't the 1960s Red Scare during that period of time?
I think
so. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll do a quick Google search.
Yeah, because I was saying because they literally started though, because just because the book came out, you know, doesn't mean they're not going to reference that or have that be a part of it. So maybe it does have the Red Scare as a part of the general kind of like political inspiration, you know, for the metaphors that make the story.
But, or maybe they're going to destroy Earth and use it as an interdimensional highway. You know, that's like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
You know, it's actually funny you say that, because no one knows this yet, because we don't have viewer questions, because this is the first episode. But when we do have viewer questions, our viewer question segment is titled 42.
Okay. I like
in honor of you know, the background of 42 and Hitchhikers.
Yeah.
What is the answer to the universe? 42.
Yeah, that's to the universe. It's 42.
So I don't see a more fitting question segment you know, name. But did you find out about the Red Scare thing really quick before we wrap up the topic?
Now I need to do like a little history fact here. Watch us be off by an absurd amount. Yeah, weird. You're way off.
Oh, really?
The first Red Scare was in 1917, 1920.
Nice.
Hey, you know,
I mean, we never claimed to be historians.
We never did, you know. But the bright side, you know, we do have, you know, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That was somewhat along that line. I mean, that's what we're thinking about.
Honestly, it's been a long day. So, you know.
How many cups of coffee in? I hope everyone's had their coffee of everything in the morning. or afternoon, whatever time people listen.
Yeah, actually, literally, when we're done with this, I'm probably gonna have my third cup of coffee. Yeah.
I'm wired.
Anyways, the vibe went down for a bit, but let's bring it back up. So yeah, that's it for this first episode of Sci-Fi Annotated. I actually saw a comment on our like We're Back video, and someone said they recommend us calling it Sci-Fi and Fantasy Annotated. That actually was a way we're gonna actually fun fact. Originally, this podcast was called Sense of Wonder. Long story for that, but basically, you know, the whole like sci-fi thing, Sense of Wonder. We took the slang for that for Sense of Wonder, and that was going to be like our creative name for the series, but it was kind of a little too meta, so we're not using it. But we did actually, you know, that was considered. But the problem with Sci-Fi and Fantasy Annotated is that it's just way too long of a name.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be really hard to like fit that in stuff like titles sometimes and tweets and, you know, all that without it probably clipping, and, you know, we don't want that. So hopefully Sci-Fi Annotated, even though it's not politically correct and encompassing fantasy as well, hopefully, you know, it just kind of gets the idea across, so to speak. Just like Mando isn't the character's real name necessarily, but everyone says it and you know what we're talking about. So
my mind is blown right now. I always thought it was Mando.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it for this episode. Connor, thanks for podcasting with us today.
Always
fun. How do you feel? It's your first HM podcast.
Shoulders are feeling a little tight, feeling pretty good though. The real question is, how long is a parsec?
That's a good question. Honestly, part of me just wants to leave it at that. You know, just cut like, you know, static image. That's it. End scene. Yeah. But thanks everyone that's watching this. You know, we really appreciate it if you guys watched all the way through, whether it's on, you know, segments or also, you know, just full audio on, you know, the podcasting platforms like SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, et cetera, et cetera. Comment below, you know, leave us some viewer questions. What are some topics you'd like to see us talk about in future episodes? And as well, you know, any suggestions, of course, as always. You know, obviously we're not in a multi-million-dollar professional set. But, you know, just any suggestions you think we could do to improve the quality of the podcast, you know, whether it's audio quality, visual graphics work, you know, whatever it is, just let us know and we'll do our best going forward. But thanks for, you know, listening to us today, and we'll catch you guys later. Oh, and follow us on our social media. It will be on the graphic, but in description. But yeah, we'll catch you later.
Signing off.
Sweet.